Yo, welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. In today's video, we are doing an unboxing and first look on this brand new Tavelo Attack frame set. And huge shout out to Joe at Panda Podium for sending this out to me. Of course, I'll be sure to link his website down below in the description. Now, if you are unfamiliar with who Panda Podium is or the website, basically Panda Podium is a curator of high quality Chinese components, things like wheels, power meters, cranksets, things like that. And the website focuses on a lot of brands that we Westerners may not have heard of before. And one thing I really like and appreciate about Joe is he only co-signs brands, products, and components, only things that he himself would ride and use. Now, I'm very excited to try out this frame because even 4 years later or so after the release of the Windspace T1500 frame set, we still don't have a lot of options at this particular price point, that sort of $1,500 mid-tier Chinese or high quality Chinese frame price point. Sure, we do have some options on the market today, like we have the Seika Exceed or even the brand new Ellie Lee Bly's frame set, but that's basically it. And so in today's video, guys, we're going to be talking about just who Tavelo is, the frame, the price and specs, the weight on this frame set, my thoughts on the fit and finish, as well as my plans for this Tavelo Attack build. So without further ado, let's begin. Now, first and foremost, who is Tavelo? Well, Tavelo was founded by a group of former Windspace employees. I'm going to leave it at that because I don't have any specific details on what happened or exactly as to why they left. But nonetheless, Tavelo was started by former Windspace employees. Now, this Tavelo that you see here, the Tavelo Attack, this is their first model that they've released. Now, rather than develop another full-on aero frame set like they did with the Windspace T1500, this is more of an all-arounder frame set similar to like a Tarmac SO7 or even my latest Giant Propel Advanced Pro. And I really appreciate this approach because if you are a potential customer looking for just a single road bike to do everything, basically a one bike to rule them all, I think that on paper, this could be a fantastic option for what you get. Next up, let's talk about the frame, the price, and the specs on this Attack frame set. So the price for this frame at the time of this video is $1,580 USD plus shipping. Not exactly cheap. And with the frame set, it includes, of course, the frame, the fork, the seat posts, the headset, the spacers, and Tavelo even included a BB86 bottom bracket for Shimano 24 crankset standards, which is a really nice touch. Now, the color you see here is a Panda color. I mean, obviously, you know, Panda Podium, and it is a glossy black that transitions to white as you move upwards. And that's funny because that's sort of like me when I'm climbing the corporate ladder. Now, the size I went with was a size 56, and the geometry on the Tavelo Attack, it does actually lend itself to being an all-arounder frame set. For my size, you know, size 56 compared to all the other frames that I test in this size, it's 3 millimeters taller in stack and 3 millimeters shorter in reach compared to my Windspace T1500 aero frame set. So basically the sizes are more or less 1-to-1, and it's negligible and can easily be fine-tuned using the right handlebar setup as well as adding or removing spacers. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about the weight. You guys obviously know what time it is. Tell me that I don't have one of the freshest LP collections around. So of course, naturally, because we have such a special frame set for me to try out for the upcoming season, that also meant that I had to present to you guys a special LP as well. So we have Parliament here, clones of the Dr. Funkenstein with such classic hits as Dr. Funkenstein. So shout out to Bootsy Collins as well as George Clinton. Let me do this right. All right, cool. All right, let's get this bad boy weighed out. Nice. All right, so this is for a Tavelo Attack frame in a size large. Keep in mind that the bottle cage bolts have been removed, and the only piece of hardware we have is just the front and rear derailleurs. All right, so this is for a size large in this Panda paint scheme color. We have 1,041 grams. You know what? This might actually be lighter than my Giant Propel Advanced Pro frame set just by a couple of grams, which is crazy for a frame at this price point. So that's what it is. We have 1,041 grams. Next up is the uncut fork. Uncut fork is 443 grams. Now that is definitely on the heavier side, definitely heavier than the John Advanced Pro. So actually, you know, the weight of the frame sort of offsets the heaviness of the fork. And last but not least is the seat posts, which of course the saddle rail clamps have been included. Oh, there we go. 156 grams. So let's continue. One thing I just noticed right now is with the seat post from Tavelo. Tavelo actually was thoughtful in building this out because as you can see, the mount for the Shimano Di2 battery is sort of built into the bottom of the seat post. I was kind of wondering, kind of going through all of the packaging and hardware, whether or not this mount will be included because I am going to be going Di2 for this build. So it's nice to know that the battery mount is already built into the bottom of the seat post. So as you guys can see, at 1,041 grams, this is in fact the lightest frame that I've ever tested on this channel. It's actually lighter than my Giant Propel Advanced Pro at about 30 grams lighter than that. And it's even lighter than my Velo Build 177 frame set. And that frame is advertised as being a super lightweight, all-out climbing bike. And yet this frame is still lighter than the 177 by even just a few grams. And keep in mind that for this frame, this is basically a white painted frame set, and generally speaking, white paint is usually heavier than say like a matte black finish. So the fact that you're getting a white frame with technically no compromises, has a good balance of being both aero and lightweight, all of that for this price and the weight claims on it, it's actually a really great value I can see so far on paper. Now moving on to the fit and finish, it's on par with everything else I've tested in this price point. It's basically identical to the Windspace T1500 or say like a Yolio R12. The areas like the headset cup bearings, it's all nice and smooth there. The bottom bracket area as well is also smooth. I didn't find any sharp edges inside the frames or around the rim on it. It seems to be that the bottom bracket area has been faced. And of course the caliper mounts, looks like there has been some attention to those areas as well. But of course, as always, we won't know how good the caliper mounts have been faced until we go to build up the bike and we go to align the calipers. Now looking at the steer tube, now the steer tube does appear to have some fiberglass in it. Now the thing with the whole fiberglass gate, whatever you want to call it, there was a whole myth and issue on this allegedly in the past months, but this is not an issue at all. And if you want to do a deep dive on this, there are other YouTubers who have discussed and addressed using fiberglass, but just know that it's not an issue at all, and this is a common practice even among the bigger brands on the market. And finally guys, my plans for the build. Now, yo man, I'm so excited. So I have some very special and lovely components for this build, so stay tuned as I will be featuring those components in a separate video or separate videos in general. Now this build is not intended to be a weight weenie build, despite the fact that this is the lightest frame set that I've ever tested on this channel. However, I really did not spare any specific details with this build, as you're going to see. And once this bike is completely built, you're going to see that this frame is going to be, or bike I should say, is going to be sort of a culmination of all the things that I've worked hard for as far as working with these different brands, different products that I've been wanting to try over the years. All of that is going to be represented in this build once I'm finished with it all. Now don't get me wrong, I absolutely love my Giant Propel. It is my dream bike, and I also really love my T1500 frame set as well. I'm never going to sell that, but there will always be a place in my heart for high quality and relatively affordable Chinese frames. I just always love them, no matter if I were to replace out my entire fleet of big name bikes. I will always have a love for these sort of bikes like the Tavelo or like the Windspace. So that's going to wrap up today's video, guys. This was just a first look. Again, thank you to Joe at Panda Podium for sending this out for me to try out. But as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them down below, and I'm going to check you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.